So LaMelo Ball is representing Charlotte no longer. He is now a Minnesota Timberwolf, going over to join Anthony Edwards, forming I would call them a dynamic duo in Minnesota. And I just want to say congratulations to LaMelo Ball, pause on that, and also congratulations to Anthony Edwards as well and along with the Timberwolves and the Charlotte Hornets for actually being able to do business together and actually come to an agreement to actually get this deal done and get it not only past the discussion stage and past the negotiating phase, but actually getting this deal done. So shout out to both sides on that. I want to give a huge shout out to Anthony Edwards, who, and I don't know if I've even said it on this channel before, but he's always someone that I feel like has always just been so freaking talented, and I feel like that even at times he gets underrated as far as what he can do, as far as like his talent and how far I think he can take the Minnesota Timberwolves. I just feel like that he's needed that other piece that he can rely on at times. So I feel like Melo coming in right now can definitely help. Pause. Melo being there right now and actually forming, like I said, that dynamic duo with AE, I feel like it could be a huge boost for the Minnesota Timberwolves. The deal structured out like this, and give you guys a general idea of what happened in the trade. All right. The Charlotte Hornets agreed to trade LaMelo Ball, their starting point guard, and Josh Green to the Minnesota Timberwolves for power forward Naz Reid, a 2033 unprotected first-round pick, 3 first-round pick swaps, and 3 future second-round picks. That's how the deal ended up shaping up. Now, I actually like the deal. The only thing, I love the deal for the Timberwolves, and I also love the deal for the Hornets. Once again, much like the Giannis thing, because you're never going to get, and LaMelo is one of those players, in my personal opinion. It's highly unlikely, put it like that. It's not on the Giannis level, but it's highly unlikely for you to be able to get equal compensation for LaMelo Ball or a player like LaMelo Ball. It's very unlikely for that to happen. So the best thing that you could do is get a nice, in my opinion, like a nice role player like they got, or a like collection of solid role players. So that's the best, and obviously picks, of course. That's always nice. That's the only way I feel like you can get what is due to you as far as if you trade a player like LaMelo Ball, which I feel like the Minnesota Timberwolves did. I like to trade from both sides. Which I feel like the Charlotte Hornets did. They got equal compensation for, or fair compensation for, LaMelo Ball, in my personal opinion. So I love the deal for both sides. I love it for the Hornets. I love it for the Timberwolves. The only thing I don't like as far as the Timberwolves side of things, and it's funny because I just gave the Charlotte Hornets this plus, but I gotta say it. The only thing that I feel like is probably going to really, really be painful, pause, is the fact that they lost Naz Reid. I don't like that, and I've been trying to process and maybe think how it could be a positive thing. It's not there. It's just Naz Reid, and I know his stats might not show up on the stat sheet or whatever, but what Naz Reid provided to the Timberwolves, like that extra oomph, like that extra boost, like in clutch moments, Anthony Edwards could just get the basketball to Naz Reid, and Naz Reid just start hitting them quick release threes he be hitting, and somehow getting to the paint whenever, somehow in clutch games he finds a way to get to the paint sometimes. More than likely he probably is firing, like I said, them quick release threes as cash. So it's just in those moments and the things he brought in those clutch situations, that is very unfortunate to be giving up, but it's understandable when you understand that they're getting back Melo, so it evens out. But still, I don't like the fact I don't like the fact that they had to give up Naz Reid to make the deal happen. Now, do I feel like Naz Reid was necessary to give up? Like I said, yes, because you had to give up something to make the Hornets actually bite, pause, for the deal. For them to actually go for it, you had to give them something. Like, they're not gonna take your scraps to give you LaMelo Ball. Like, if Melo was to the point to where you could have offered the Hornets scraps and anybody could have got him. Trust me, the Timberwolves wouldn't have been the only team trying to get him. I promise you that. I promise you. If it just would have took anything to go get Melo, a whole lot of other teams would have been hitting the Hornets line too to try to get Melo, because Melo is an extremely talented player, and there's so much that I feel like he will bring to the Minnesota Timberwolves. And that's a great plus. It's just I can't get over the fact. Well, I'm over it. I'm not even a Timberwolves fan, but the part that I kind of disagree with, and the part that I kind of feel like that they'll miss, is Naz Reid, just because of everything that he bought, especially in clutch situations. And I know he may not have shown up in clutch. I mean, because obviously the number one clutch option has always been Anthony Edwards. We already know that. Okay, that's hands down, no discussion, no questions asked. Okay, we already know the number one clutch option is and should rightfully be Anthony Edwards, because Anthony Edwards is a beast in the clutch. So that's rightfully so. But Naz Reid has had some moments in the clutch to where he showed up as well. But I get it. You had to give up something to get the Hornets to actually take this deal serious and get past negotiations and actually get Melo to the Minnesota Timberwolves. So the fact you had to give up Naz Reid is understandable. So yeah, other than that, I pretty much like the deal for both sides. Not the Hornets get Naz Reid, who is a very good role player, very good supporting cast member, and I think will probably take over kind of the arguably will probably be kind of like the guy, I guess you could say, or he definitely will be like the veteran over there, like in Charlotte. He'd definitely be probably the veteran. I don't see him being on Charlotte for very long, because pause on that. Just simply because his veteran presence, along with what he can do, his skill, he'll probably be traded by the deadline, because it'll be so many teams that are just trying to get that opportunity to get Naz Reid on their team. I don't think it'll be a very extensive stint on the Charlotte Hornets. I don't. But who knows? Maybe he'll be on the Charlotte Hornets until next offseason. I don't know. It could be. I don't see it happening, because normally when a player like that gets traded to a rebuilding team, let's call it what it is, they don't usually last that long. And pause on that. It's just they don't normally stay on that team for a very extensive stint, because if a team is rebuilding and they have a player like Naz Reid, 9 times out of 10, the player don't want to be there through that like whole rebuilding phase and losing games and pretty much throwing seasons away. These players have lives. These players have careers. They have money to make. They have families to take care of. They have careers they still have to worry about, right? So they actually want to be successful, want to be competitive. And when they go to a team like from the Timberwolves, who are very competitive, to the Hornets, who are, no offense to any Hornet fans out there, but the Hornets aren't very competitive. So when they go from a team like that, it's kind of, what's the value of being there if you're like a Naz Reid? What's the value? Like, you're just there. You're the veteran, yeah, but you're the veteran, but it's not really leading to wins like that. Because as great as that one veteran presence may be, not too often can that veteran presence and that player raise the ceiling if you're like a Naz Reid. And it's no flack on Naz Reid. It's just, it's so many things that factor into play on these teams that it's not one veteran or one voice that can turn those things around. So that's the thing. I feel like Naz Reid, I feel like it was a good deal for Charlotte to be able to get Naz Reid. I don't feel like he'll be there for a very extensive time, but that also factors into the benefit of the Charlotte Hornets being able to acquire Naz Reid, because now wherever they trade him or wherever they move him next offseason or at the trade deadline, regardless, they'll be able to cash in on those picks as well, potentially get a young player that they can also, help develop and actually be a part of the rebuild as well. So that'll be a bonus for them on that side. So shout out to Charlotte for being able to get, like I said, a fair compensation deal that I feel like will end up paying off for them in ways of, like I said, they'll either be able to get some picks off Naz Reid, or just if they want to keep Naz Reid, he does provide that veteran presence. He's a nice role player. He's a nice player that can do some great things in the clutch. He has those quick release threes that are almost unguardable. So he does some things that are definitely valuable. He definitely can bring some very, very supreme value to the Charlotte Hornets as far as just improving the overall, not only chemistry and, and competitiveness, but also just that veteran voice, that veteran presence, and that experience. He brings so much that can just improve the aura, if you will, of the Charlotte Hornets. That, even if LaMelo is leaving out, the fact of just having a Nas Reed on a team that's been to the playoffs, that's actually had an experience in the playoffs, been a part of these teams that have made it to the playoffs. He knows what it takes to get to that point. The fact that he has that veteran experience, that veteran voice, that presence, that he knows what it takes to actually get to that point, he'll add some extra energy and some extra oomph to the whole Hornets aura as far as just the team standpoint is concerned. So shout out to the Hornets on that. And like I said, as far as the Minnesota Timberwolves, to give you guys a little general idea of what LaMelo Ball has done over his career. So, LaMelo Ball has played 6 seasons with the Hornets. Now, in those 6 seasons, he has never made the playoffs. But once again, that's not on him. That's a team accomplishment. In those 6 seasons for the Hornets, he's averaged 20.8 points, 7.3 assists, and 5.7 rebounds in 303 regular season games. He was selected to play in 1 All-Star game, and he has won the Rookie of the Year award in his first season. And might I also say that I think he has also been, I don't want to say underrated, because I do feel like LaMelo gets his props. I do. I feel like he gets his props. I just feel like, in a way, I feel like people look at him as maybe a little bit of a detriment, for lack of a better way to put it. And I don't look at LaMelo like that at all. I feel like he's a boost to a team. Like, him being able to pair up with Anthony Edwards and actually give Anthony Edwards that 1-2 punch that I feel like that he's needed. Like, while I said, like, Nas Reed was great and the role players were great, Julius Randle is amazing, all of these supporting cast players that the Timberwolves have been able to acquire are great. Like the Timberwolves are an extremely tough team to beat. And Anthony Edwards has been able to lead them to great places. It's just, I feel like he needs that other person. He needs, and it's no flack or, oh, you need someone. It's not that at all. It's just in times where it's a clutch situation, it's a clutch game, it's down to the wire, the team is expecting Anthony Edwards to do something. Like, so all attention is on Anthony Edwards. And while, like I said, he has a great supporting cast, so, they're paying attention to the role players, but they needed a guy. They needed a player. They needed a certified bucket getter that in those moments, in those clutch situations, when Anthony Edwards might be tired or might be gassed or might be, or maybe he just don't have it that night, right? They need someone in those moments that can say, okay, AE, AE is our guy. Ant-Man is our guy, right? But right now, respectfully, I'm going to go ahead and close the show for us. That they need someone like that. And LaMelo fits that role perfectly. He can pass the ball. He's a certified bucket getter, so he's able to shoot the three, able to get to the rim, able to do all these great things that he can do. And in those moments, he has the most important thing. In those clutch situations, in those clutch moments, he has the confidence in himself, in his ability, to where he says, okay, in those moments, like I said, respectfully, Ant-Man is our guy, but respectfully, I'm the 1-2 punch on this team. Let me go close the show for us real quick. And LaMelo will step up in those moments and be able to have the confidence to close the show in those moments, to where, those games I'm talking about, where say they're going against the San Antonio Spurs, right? And the Spurs are leading 102 and the Timberwolves are 98. And let's say Ant-Man has just shot 2 straight threes and he missed both of them. He's tired. He's been pretty much playing the whole game. Melo will step in and say, okay, I see Ant-Man is tired right now. Okay, he's tired. Okay, let me close the show for us. He comes down, hit a three or get to the rim or hit a nice pass to get the team going, get the rhythm going. And LaMelo will be able to lift up the team and be able to get them to the point of being able to cash in and win these games. That's where I feel like the Minnesota Timberwolves were missing, and that's what I feel like they actually have acquired in LaMelo Ball. So for them actually to get this deal done, like I said, props to the Minnesota Timberwolves, because I feel like he will help so freaking much. Now, I know, and like I said, Melo, yes, he's never been to the playoffs in his career, and I know people, they harp on that a lot, and rightfully so. You know, you never been to the playoffs, never been to the playoffs. I get it. But take this into account. I just asked you, take this into account. The Charlotte Hornets drafted LaMelo Ball, right? They weren't too bright when they drafted him. I mean, and it's no flack or anything on the Hornets. I'm just saying they weren't too explosive when they drafted LaMelo Ball. That's how they were in a position to draft LaMelo Ball. So that didn't happen. So they never, and arguably, now granted, he's played with Terry Rozier, he's played with Gordon Hayward, he's played with some Mark Williams and all these. He's played with some cool players, but let's be real. Are those players, and no flack on any of those players, they're the 1% of the 1%. Those were NBA players, okay? So they were the 1% of the 1%, all right? So full respect to them. But are those players really the type of players that could actually help you propel your team to the playoffs? Let's just be honest. Like, just being completely honest with you, they're not, especially when LaMelo had a chance to actually be teammates with them. No. Like, Gordon Hayward was great earlier in his career, like when he was with the Jazz and even his time with the Celtics, like, you know, before the whole the foot injury and everything like that. The leg injury. It's a foot leg injury. I'll just say leg injury to just because it was just a gruesome injury. But even in his time with the Jazz and even, you know, on his time with the Celtics after he recovered from the whole leg injury and everything, knock on wood for Gordon Hayward, even past that, Gordon Hayward was still decent. You know, he was still nice, but he wasn't, after that whole injury and everything, once that passed, Gordon Hayward wasn't the guy that you could really, like, no offense, rely on to say, okay, he gonna help us get to the playoffs. And it's no flack on him, but he just wasn't that guy. I love Terry Rozier's game. Like, as far as him being able to get to the rim and kind of play his game, I rock with Terry Rozier. But once again, he's probably not that player that you're going to look to and say he's going to help get us to the playoffs. Now, what Terry Rozier is great at, because he did help lead Boston to the playoffs, you know, in 2018 when, you know, Kyrie was out and he had no choice. He had to kind of take over the show. But what I will give Terry Rozier props at, though, he does have that confidence that kind of LaMelo has. He does have that confidence that he's not afraid to take over in clutch situations and in clutch moments. However, he's just not that kind of player that you rely on to get the team to the playoffs. So I know the never being to the playoff thing probably impacts, you know, some people's view of it. Like, oh, well, LaMelo's never been to the playoffs, so how will he help? Yes, but it's the tendencies that he has. He's not afraid. He's confident in his ability. He's not afraid to take over the game. He has no problem he has no problem passing the basketball either. He has no problem, in my opinion, not only passing the basketball, but in my view, he'll have no problem being the 1-2 punch with Ant-Man, just as long as at times LaMelo still gets to be LaMelo, because LaMelo's averaging 20 points a game. He will still be able to get that along with Ant-Man. Like, he'll still be able to efficiently and effectively get to that 20 points a game, or at least maybe 2019, it'll be somewhere around there, 2019. He'll still be able to get that number and still flow in the system of the Minnesota Timberwolves, I feel like, because Ant-Man is averaging 28.8 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal in 35 minutes a game. And that's Ant-Man's stats. And let's be real. Now that he has someone that he can rely on, he's not going to have to do as much. So I feel like Ant-Man is going to be in a much better situation as well, because he was only playing all of those minutes and all of those, having the 30-point games and the 40-point game. He was only doing that to, let's be real, to ensure that the Minnesota Timberwolves actually won these games. So now the fact that he doesn't have to worry about that because he knows that he has someone who is very similar as far as being able to take over the game, like myself, being Ant-Man, I don't need to do as much. I don't need to play 35 minutes a game to know that we're gonna win. Along with the Minnesota Timberwolves supporting cast and like with their whole unit they have with their supporting cast, if they manage to keep that unit together, that supporting cast together, and still and add in LaMelo, Ant-Man don't got nothing to worry about. Like he might play 28 minutes a game. Like that's why I feel like I can picture Ant-Man playing like maybe 28 minutes a game. He's not gonna have to play 35 minutes a game no more because he doesn't have to. He's no longer in a position to where he will feel like, in my view, that he needs to be on the court to make sure that they get the win. LaMelo can do that all day long. If LaMelo is on the court and the supporting cast is doing what they got to do, LaMelo is it's a great enough player to where, like I said, if it comes down to a clutch situation, LaMelo can do his thing and take it over. If it comes down to a situation where LaMelo just needs to control the floor of the game, he has no problem doing that. If he just needs to be a point guard, he has no problem doing that. If it comes down to a situation where they're losing and Ant-Man got to go sit down and get a breather, LaMelo has no problem stepping right into that role and being able to take over the game and keep the Minnesota Timberwolves either in the game or, who knows, he might even propel them to the win. That's just how great of a player LaMelo Ball is. So I feel like that it will help the Timberwolves on all fronts. Like Anthony Edwards no longer has to stress himself and worry about, okay, well, I got to make sure I'm on the court for these minutes to make sure that we're able to get like some type of offense going. No, you have a certified offensive machine in Melo, so now you don't need to worry about that. Ant-Man can pretty much chill out through the regular season. Now, I'm not saying AE can just, just chill out and just sit at home, obviously. I'm not saying that at all, but I mean, he can chill out from the aspect of not having to play so many minutes, not having to worry about if I'm not out there, then the offense has no rhythm. He don't have to worry about that. He don't have to worry about himself trying to play the point guard role, because I feel like that kind of slows, and he can do it officially, don't get me wrong, but I feel like that kind of slows Ant-Man's game down a little bit. Like, and it's not noticeable or anything, but the Timberwolves will be rolling, and then like when it gets to those moments to where the game gets a little bit, a little bit closer, and it turns into like a clutch situation kind of game. At times, I find myself just wanting to say, like, Ant-Man, just take over and do you, because like Ant-Man, rightfully so, in those moments tries to get like the team involved, and that's a great quality to have. Don't get me wrong, that's amazing teammate play and being a great teammate. But I feel like if he was just able in those moments to just let someone else control the flow and he just do him, the Timberwolves like will be rolling in clutch situations. They'll probably be like, to like maybe a lesser effect, maybe like the New York Knicks was this year. Like how Jalen Brunson, like when in those moments, Jalen Brunson wasn't focused on nothing else but the fact that I'm going to get to my spot and I'm going to shoot my mid-range pull-up and it's going to be cash. That's what he was thinking about in clutch situations, and he made it happen even in the finals, even on the biggest stage. That's what I feel like Ant-Man can focus on now. In clutch situations, he don't have to worry about, okay, let me try to see if I can get Dante involved, and let me try to see if I can get, okay, Julius Randle, if he cuts to the rim right now, we can maybe set something up. No, he don't got to worry about that. You don't know why? Because that's where Melo comes into play. Melo will set it up, and then Ant-Man, you do your thing. When it's time, when Melo pass Ant-Man the ball, Ant-Man take over, get to his spot, get his shot off, and it's back on defense. He don't have to worry about setting up the floor of the offense. That's where Melo will come into play. But Melo can do two things, because he can set up the offense, or if if Ant-Man is off or if Ant-Man is tired, if he's on the bench or whatever, that's where LaMelo will come into play and be like, okay, don't worry about it. I can control the flow of the game, or I can just, if that's the case, I can just take over the game real quick and propel us to the win, or keep us competitive into the game, or keep us competitive in the game until Ant-Man comes off the bench. It opens up so many things that weren't available, I feel like, to the Timberwolves, with Melo being able to actually come over to the Timberwolves. So I'm interested to see how it plays out. The Timberwolves have been to the playoffs, I believe every single year since 2021. So they haven't missed a year make sure I got that right, because I don't want to make sure I'm leading y'all in a wrong way. I believe they've been 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So yeah, they've been in the playoffs every single year since 2021. So they haven't missed a year of the playoffs. So I feel like they'll definitely be in the playoffs once again this year. And I feel like they'll be a more, dare I say, dangerous team than they were in the past, because now it'll be and not saying that he wasn't rested before, but it'll be a rested, healthy healthy Ant-Man in those clutch situations in the playoffs. So it's gonna be interesting, man. I say at least they're going at least second round, maybe Western Conference Finals. Who knows? Maybe they might get to the finals. Who knows? We shall see. But it's definitely gonna be interesting for sure. We're gonna see what happens though. But LaMelo Ball is a member of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Melo and Ant-Man is officially a duo. I'm excited, man. I can't wait to see how it shapes out.